17-year-old burn victim Alecia King has been transported to the United States for further treatment. King's transfer from the University Hospital of the West Indies is being aided by the Sanmerna Foundation. Director Robert Wright was on hand to see King off when she was picked up by the medical team from the U.S. earlier this afternoon.
The air ambulance arrived for Alecia King. So now we just arrived here with the medical team from the United States at the University Hospital, their burn unit, to pick up Alecia and take her back to Norman Manley Airport, where she'll be boarding an air ambulance and leave to Texas. She'll be going to Shiner's Burn Center in Galveston.
Sanmerna Director Robert White reports are that young King was asleep at home in Dover Castle, St. Catherine, when a man said to be her former boyfriend entered the premises, doused her with a flammable liquid, then set her on fire. The Jamaica Umbrella Group of Churches has called for a revisiting of the National Crime Fighting Strategy. JUG's chair, Dr. Elaine McCarthy, said the call stems from recent home invasions and firebombing in Gregory Park, St. Catherine, and sections of central Kingston. Dr. McCarthy notes that the incidents reflect significant issues with anger, hate, fatal rivalry, disrespect for human life, and the breakdown in life in community. As such, she said some of the strategies which seek to address crime and violence must be revisited. One such strategy is the one relating to national crime fighting.
It is going to require all hands on deck, and so it needs to take a kind of inclusive approach where you have all the stakeholders being a part of it, community being a part of it, other agencies that, can contribute to making an impact where that is concerned, being a part of it. It's everybody, the government, everybody. And until we get to that place where we recognize that it's not one entity that can handle it, but everybody will have to come on board, then we're going to still have this issue. Some of the things that we had done before, we possibly need to look at it again and see how best we can re-implement some of these that we had.
She also called for the restoration of the Peace Management Initiative.
We had at one point the Peace Management Initiative. Maybe that is something we could revisit, because this was something that enabled a kind of connectivity to occur within communities as persons from that entity would go in and try to kind of create some amount of mediation among those warring factions within those communities. So we need to just sit around, as it were, a table and all ideas coming together for the betterment of Jamaica.
Chair of the Jamaica Umbrella Group of Churches, Dr. Elaine McCarthy. Almost 900 people were murdered across the island up to Saturday, August 26. According to the latest crime statistics from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the murder tally stood at 899. The number of murders represents a 10.8% decline when compared to the total of 1,008 for the same period last year. All divisions recorded murders, with St. James leading with 131, followed by St. Andrews South and Westmoreland with 79 each. Meanwhile, there are also declines in rapes, robberies, and break-ins. Cases of rape had a 20.4% reduction. Robberies went down by 139 from 612 to 473, while break-ins decreased by 81 from 666 to 585. Head of the St. Elizabeth Police Deputy Superintendent Coleridge Minto is urging party promoters to adhere to the conditions of their event permits. This following the seizure of musical equipment belonging to a promoter who breached the Noise Abatement Act. DSP Minto notes that the promoter in question was warned he was in breach of the time allotted for the party, yet he continued with the event. He says the promoter will be charged for the breach.
This morning, a team of officers confiscated musical equipment belonging to a particular promoter. The promoters of this parish must understand that whilst we grant permits for events, it is expected that they will abide by the ambits of the law particularly the Noise Abatement Act, as well as the conditions under which the permits are issued. Every permit that is granted bears the signature of the commanding officer, as well as for the applicants to sign that they will agree to the contents therein. In this particular case, the promoter was going beyond time. There was a noise abatement disturbance, and he was warned to turn down. After the police left, he continued with the event, and so the police went and enforced the law. The equipment was seized, and the promoter will be charged. I want to remind the promoters of this parish, whilst we grant permits, it is expected that they're going to adhere very strictly to the conditions of the permit.
Head of the St. Elizabeth Police Deputy Superintendent Coleridge Minto. One high school principal has described the effects of the shortage of teachers at schools as a catastrophe. As the new academic year approaches, some schools face the urgent need to fill teaching positions. Advertisements continue for teachers, even as some principals get more resignation letters. Two high schools based in rural Jamaica are still hoping they will fill the positions quickly, even as classes are set to begin on Monday. Taki High in St. Mary needs 16 teachers. Principal Errol Basco said he heard about 2 more resignations yesterday, which was orientation for grade 7 students. He says about 5 teachers are needed for mathematics and English language.
I have 1/6 short, so I'm short of 16 teachers. 16 to include roughly 5 for the subjects mathematics and English. So the short is not that it's just guidance or physical education. It is hardcore subjects like mathematics, English language, biology, physics, chemistry, all of those subjects we are short. The parents, there are some parents who I have given my number to. They told me they knew some teachers who might not be working. So since yesterday, I have received about 3 calls coming out of the help from the concerned parents who would have given some teachers my number.
Mr. Basco explains that in his 18 years as a principal, this is the first time the school has experienced such a huge number of vacancies. He points out that teachers have not been given notice of resignation on time.
In former years, a teacher leaving school would know that the regulation says that if you are permanent, you should give 3 months notice. And if you are temporary, you give a month notice. That has not been happening at all. And so I am learning as late as yesterday about some people who are not coming back, which I would have picked up on the road, people telling me that who is abroad and who is not coming back. And belatedly, of course, you get the resignation, which is why my number has gone out to 16. So I would have described that as being an environmental catastrophe, because when school starts, if it can start, and I don't see it starting smoothly, because the void is right across the grade 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I hear somebody saying you can block the classes to make up for the shortfall. It is totally impossible because the void is too wide, it's too widespread.
Principal of Taki High, Errol Basco. Meantime, Principal of Brownstown High, Alfred Thomas, says he has received 7 resignations and he expects at least 3 more. He explains that some positions have been filled.
At Brownstown High, we have 7 resignations, 5 such are to migration, 2 are local resignations, teachers moving closer to home. So they've gotten jobs at schools closer to home. So we have 7 so far. There are still a few that we're expecting because the teachers would have already indicated to me that they would have gotten jobs abroad. So we are awaiting those resignations. So I think based on those that we are to get, based on what I know of, we should be looking at 10 resignations. We have filled several of the positions thus far. We're still struggling to fill a few for English language and literacy, because several of the resignations have come from our literacy department. So I think we only have 2 persons left in our literacy department. We're trying to fill those positions. We've already filled a few. We advertised last Sunday in the paper. So we have some applications where we're going to. Hopefully we'll have replacements soon.
Principal of Brownstown High, Alfred Thomas, the Education Ministry has launched a job bank portal to streamline the process of finding teachers and teaching jobs. Education Minister Favour Williams noted the significant cost for schools to advertise vacancies. With the portal, teachers and principals will be able to search and apply for job openings, post their resumes, create a profile to advertise themselves to potential employers, and get an idea of the job requirements and remuneration. The Education Ministry will embark on a pilot project to install solar panels in public schools island-wide. That's according to Education Minister Favour Williams. She was answering questions at a back-to-school board chairman round table at the weekend. According to Mrs. Williams, the cost for electricity is very high. As such, the government is embarking on this move to reduce costs. She said the initiative is being fine-tuned before installation begins.
A question about energy, solar facilities in our schools. The pilot is in progress. Some details are still to be worked out for the 30 schools. All those 30 schools are supposed to get their electrical work upgraded, not just the panels on their roof and so on. We hope to work out whatever needs to be worked out so that we can get to actual implementation. That is a real focus for us. As I said earlier on, we have 1,010 schools all across Jamaica. Our electricity bill is very high. Our schools are ideal for using solar energy because they are open during the days and there's not much night activity that goes on there. So it is one of the things that we're moving on, I should say.
Education Minister Favour Williams. The Jamaica Constabulary Force has deployed additional members of its Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB, in major town centres to manage back-to-school shopping. Member of the JCF's Corporate Communications Network, Corporal Alecia King, said the police will be on hand to maintain order in shopping districts. Corporal King noted that officers of PSTEB will be assisted by the JCF's Quick Response Team. She advised that if someone goes to an automated teller machine and observes any strange activity, they should call the police. The corporal is also urging citizens to take the necessary precautions when entering and exiting their vehicle during the busy shopping period. She added that a car key has another purpose, a weapon to be used in self-defense. Corporal Keane, however, cautioned citizens against challenging attackers. They should instead try to get away from them. Parents are being advised to call ahead, for instance, at the bookstore, or send the book list via email, then have the books delivered in order to avoid large crowds. A labourer of Red Ground in Negril, Westmoreland, died from stab wounds he received during a dispute at his home yesterday. He is 52-year-old Michael Grant, otherwise called Stretchy. Reports from the Negril police are that about 6:30 a.m., Grant and a relative had an ongoing dispute that became physical, during which he was stabbed. Residents summoned the police, and on the arrival of the lawmen, Grant was observed on the ground in a pool of blood. He was transported to hospital where he was pronounced dead.